Welcome back, dear viewers, to your favorite digital watering hole, the Gossip Historian. You know us, we spill tea like it's 1773. It's time to dust off those history books and bring you yet another round of riveting tales from the past. You've been with us through the ups and downs of various historical lives, but today we're taking you on a journey to the 16th century. We're revealing the life of a woman who was playing in the big leagues from the moment she was born. A woman whose life was more drama-filled than the most scandalous reality TV shows we binge-watch today. Buckle up as we introduce you to the roller coaster ride that was the life of Mary, Queen of Scots. Trust us, you're in for a ride. Ever wondered who the source of the drama and scandal was in the 16th century? Allow me to introduce you to Mary, the Queen of Scots. This isn't your typical from dust to glory story. Mary was a significant figure right from her first breath. Picture this. A mere 6-day-old newborn, still learning to belch, and suddenly she's the queen. Yes, a queen at just 6 days old. Can you fathom that? Contemporary toddlers to handle a spoon without turning their breakfast into unconventional artwork. Yet here we have Mary, theoretically ruling a kingdom before she's even learned to crawl. Talk about a high-stakes infancy. But it wasn't all royal nappies and golden pacifiers for our beloved Mary. So let's dive into this historical reality saga, shall we? So, our baby queen, instead of dealing with diaper changes, was dealing with kingdom changes. Now, Mary Queen of Scots was no ordinary tot. While most kids her age were struggling with cat and bat, our girl Mary was grappling with French and Latin. Talk about being ahead of the curve. At the tender age of 5, she was shipped off to France, away from her kingdom, for her safety. Can you imagine? One moment you're playing with your royal toys, the next you're on a boat to France to live with your future in-laws. It's like sending your kid off to kindergarten and then bam, they're off to a foreign country. And let's not forget, she was betrothed to the French Dauphin, the future king of France. No biggie, right? Just your average childhood, playing princess and actually being one. And you thought your childhood was tough, huh? Now what's a queen without a king, right? Enter Francis, stage left. Mary, our teenage queen, just 15 years old, tied the knot with Francis, who was a whole year younger. Yeah, you heard that right. It's like a high school sophomore marrying a middle schooler. I mean, I get it. Royal life can be tough, but isn't that taking young love a bit too far? Now just imagine the wedding. The bride and groom, both barely out of childhood, standing at the altar, probably wondering if they'll get to have cake after the ceremony. I mean, who wouldn't be thinking about that, right? But as they say, in sickness and in health till death do us part. Well, the death part came sooner than expected. Poor Francis couldn't even make it past his teenage years. Just 17 years old and poof, he was gone. But hey, on the bright side, at least they didn't have to argue about who gets the remote control. So, with her hubby gone, our Queen Mary was left with a tough choice. Stay in France and enjoy the croissants or head back home to Scotland. Now, between you and me, I would have stayed for the croissants, but our queen decided to pack her bags and head back to the land of kilts and bagpipes. Back in Scotland, Mary was now a widow and a queen. I mean, talk about a double whammy. But as they say, when one door closes, another opens. Or in this case, when one king dies, another is ready to take his place. But hold your horses, folks. Before you start imagining another royal wedding, let me remind you, this is Mary we're talking about. Her life is more like an episode of Game of Thrones than a fairy tale. So our queen is single and ready to mingle, or is she? Without skipping a beat, Mary plunged back into the world of romance. And her choice for the next chapter of her life? None other than her own cousin, Lord Darnley. Yes, you heard that right, a cousin. You may be taken aback thinking, intra-family romance? Is that even possible? But remember, we're talking about the 16th century here. Mary was all about keeping it in the family, until she, well, wasn't. Lord Darnley turned out to be less of a charming prince and more of a royal pain. He was, let's say, hot-tempered, jealous, and ambitious. And who wouldn't want a husband who is as smitten with your throne as he is with you? They even had a son together, the king, James VI. However, their marital bliss came to a screeching halt. The intrigue, drama, and scandal that followed were nothing short of a Game of Thrones episode. Minus the dragons, of course. Then the plot takes a dark and mysterious turn. One ominous night, Darnley's residence goes up in flames. But here's the kicker. Darnley was found strangled in his nightshirt in the garden, not within the ruins of his home. Talk about taking the term explosive breakup to a whole new level. The question, however, remains. Who was the mastermind behind this horrifying act? Was it Mary, tired of Darnley's shenanigans and his constant quest for the throne? Or was it one of Darnley's many enemies he managed to make during his short but tumultuous life? And just when you thought the story couldn't get any more dramatic, Mary marries the prime suspect in Darnley's murder just 3 months later. Talk about a quick recovery. So there you have it, the scandalous saga of Mary's second marriage. And they say reality TV is dramatic. Third time's a charm, right? Well, not for our Mary. Oh no, folks, Mary Queen of Scots' third trip down the aisle was still a mess. Enter the Earl of Bothwell. Now this guy was a real piece of work and definitely not the hunky brooding version they portrayed in the show Reign. He was the epitome of the saying, "You can't judge a book by its cover." While his title might have screamed nobility, his actions were anything but noble. But hey, who are we to judge? Perhaps Mary was taken in by Bothwell's rugged Scottish charm, or maybe she just had a thing for bad boys. Either way, it's safe to say that her taste in men was questionable. So there they were, husband and wife, in a union that had all the warmth and affection of a tax audit. It was a marriage of convenience, a political maneuver, a desperate attempt to hold on to power, and like a house of cards in a windstorm, it was doomed to collapse. And collapse it did. Their marriage was so short-lived it would shock Kim. The people of Scotland were not fans of this match made in, well, certainly not heaven. Rebellion ensued, Bothwell fled, and Mary was imprisoned. In the end, Mary's third marriage was just sucky. It was a disaster, a catastrophe, a complete and utter fiasco. But hey, at least it makes for a good story, right? And I thought my dating life was a disaster. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Mary gets imprisoned. Yes, you heard it right. After 3 marriages and fighting to keep her crown, our dear Mary found herself locked up. Why? Well, everyone pretty much came to the consensus that Mary and Bothwell were totally the ones to try and kill Darnley, and they wanted her to abdicate. Where was Bothwell, you might ask? He fled, like immediately, and left Mary to figure it out. Mary wrote Elizabeth I, Queen of England, and asked if she could go to England until things chilled out, and Elizabeth agreed. But she got real nervous real quick once Mary got there because some people still thought Mary was the rightful queen. So Elizabeth locked her up. For 19 long years, she was confined within stone walls, which was really her own castle that was just guarded. She still complained, though. During her time in the slammer, Mary picked up a few hobbies. She did a lot of needlework. Talk about a stitch in time, eh? And she also got really into letter writing. I mean, really into it. If only she had known about Twitter, she could have shared her thoughts with the world in real time. Just had gruel for dinner, #prison life, #need pizza. But despite her new hobbies, Mary couldn't escape the inevitable. After nearly 2 decades of imprisonment, she was executed. Yeah, it's a bit of a downer, I know. But Elizabeth did make Mary's son, James VI, her successor, so he became the King of England. I mean, she did set her baby up. And so, our scandalous queen met her end. But don't feel too bad for her. In her short life, Mary experienced more drama, scandal, and excitement than most people could in 10 lifetimes. She was a queen, a wife, a mother, and a prisoner. She lived her life in the fast lane and never looked back. So that was the scandalous life of Mary, the original drama queen. Makes your life pretty chill, doesn't it? Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more juicy, scandalous lessons in history.